Welcome, everyone. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Sunday night. Usually, I only do these during the weekday, but I was looking at this case of Angela Hammond, and um, there's a lot of documentaries on her case, um, but I noticed that back in April there was some new information. So this is what it is going to be based around. Um, Before we get started, I ask everyone to read the banner below. I this is just strictly informational. Um, I don't make any accusations. I just, a little bit about what I do and try to do is I try to speak for the families, with that being directly with them or through advocates for them. Um, I just try to get close as I can to helping them speak. I join their family groups or their family advocate groups. Um, that way I can get a feel for what they are trying to say, and if I can confirm everything that I want to say with them, that's awesome. Um, But for Angela's case here, now correct me if I'm wrong, but she does not have an active group. So I had to rely on, I used Trace Evidence on YouTube, um, and Unsolved Mysteries did an episode, and online they have their Unsolved Mysteries wiki. I used that for source. Yeah, because so if anybody after watching this wants to make a group for her, if there's not already one, her case is 30 years old, so um, it could use some fresh eyes, especially with a new update. But yes, I do not want any leads. If you do not want to be known, you can, and I will not have you known. I It is not for me to judge. I do not decide what gets it goes immediately to where it needs to go. For them to decide, that's what I base my whole page on. Getting that correct information out there, and making sure people have a way to get that information to the right people. By the time this is done, you will have all that information. Like I said, Angela does not have a group. Um, yeah, so um, let me get this up here. Angela Hammond, she was 21 years old at the time. Now, there's a lot of theories about this case. Like I said, you can go um, look them up. I'm going to stick to what the family and the Ellie wants to be put out right now as of April, this past April. So she was 4 months pregnant. She was taken April 4th, 1991, from Clinton, Missouri, while on the payphone with her fiance. The fiance was ruled out within a week of her being taken. I will talk about it just a little bit. Um, New information made public on the 30th anniversary in hopes of sparking new leads. Now, this lead is interesting, and we will talk about that. Um, but I will go ahead and give just the circumstances, and we'll talk about just a little bit of the theories that they had out there. Like I said, I'm not going to go too much into that because I really want people, I was looking around. Like I said, there are a lot of documentaries on Angela, but there are very few with updated information within the last 6 months. One of them is Jerry Dean on YouTube with an IE. I subscribed because she updated very recently also. So, and then we'll go over definitely the new information. So back on April, like I said, 4th, 1991, 20-year-old Angela had been 4 months pregnant at the time, she was at a barbecue at her mom's house about 20 miles outside of Clinton, Missouri. She was there with her fiance. Afterwards, she dropped him off at his house, and then she was out and about with a friend of hers. They were down at what Clinton is known for. They call it the square. I can relate. I had one in my town, and they were just driving around, cruising, having a good time, walking around, talking to people. Um, that was about 10 p.m. After she left, she dropped off to stop by at the payphone on the intersection of Jefferson and 2nd Street. That was about 11:15, and it was about 7 blocks away from her fiance's house. They had plans to meet up after his mom came home because he was there babysitting his brother. They had their own place at the time. Um, in the middle of talking to her fiance, Angela stated that there was a green two-toned white-topped Ford truck that had been driving around the block a few times. The truck then pulled over by her car. Angela also mentioned that the man was sitting in the truck. He got out, got into the phone booth beside her, got back into his truck, got back out, and this time he had a flashlight, and he appeared to be like looking around the truck, looking inside the truck. And according to Angela's fiance, Angela asked the man if he needed to use the phone, and he replied, and Angela's boyfriend said that he heard him with a no. Shortly after Angela's fiance heard the man, shortly after Angela's fiance heard Angela scream, and in the background he heard the man say, "I didn't need to use the phone anyway." Angela's fiance dropped his phone immediately. He sped to the payphone. As he arrived, he seen the truck was heading in the opposite direction, and he recognized the truck by her description, and he heard Angela scream his name. And in the process of slamming it in reverse, and turning around, he was able to follow the truck, he said, about 2 miles. And then his car started to mess up, and it just slowly came to a stop in the middle of the road. And at that point, he then seen the truck turn off. He was, obviously a very big person of interest. I mean, a lot of people believed that his story was just ludicrous. For starters, he was 7 blocks away. Why would Angela stop off at the payphone? But I did that. I would, there's a payphone up in town still when I was a kid, and we would call, especially grandma. It was free local, and we would call her and talk, while we were out and about. So it was not uncommon. And they did check that there, in fact, was a call around 11:15 made to Angela's fiance's parents' house. So, and then there was a little theory about an ex and him planning this, that maybe the baby was his. But Angela and her fiance, they got engaged. She got pregnant. They both together sat down with both sides of the family and announced it. And according to the family, they were really excited. They weren't expecting it by any means, but she was working at a bank at the time, and he was very consistent in his jobs, and they were really, really looking forward to adapting, and they knew they had the time to save up money. So, they were just really, really looking forward to it. Also, they tracked it down, the theory that they were saying that they planned it and da da da. It just, with the time and the everything, it was just shocked at. He took a lie detector. He corroborated. The family totally stands behind him and the fact that he is innocent. So I just urge everybody to rule that one out. There were connections that she was involved in there were some pretty active killers in Missouri around the time, and that lived in Missouri around that time. There were also two ladies missing. One of them were Trudy. Um, but I think with that one, it was confirmed that a brother and his stepbrother were accused of that, and they were in prison. Like I said, trace evidence spends like an hour and 30 going through the details if you guys want to know all the backstory. But with the new information, I feel that over the years they said that they have been able to rule out or discredit in some way all the you could imagine after 30 years you know theories that were out there. So for them to be releasing and focusing on that, I kind of just want to not focus on this so much, and really focus on the updated information. So, which leads me to the update that they shared, which is, let me bring it up here real quick, the Clinton, Missouri Sheriff Department, the LEA over there, go to their page. They released it back in April. Let me pull this up to you. They are now saying that it could be a possible case of accidental, like just the wrong identity, which is crazy. This confidential informant was working with the LE at the time. He was helping bring down a narcotics ring. This informant also had a daughter, and her daughter's name was Angela as well. The informant received the letter in the mail, and the letter had been made up of cutout words, as you can see, and magazine clippings. The informant gives this information to the LE right away. It is postmarked April 4th, 1991. In reference to why they had sat on this information is, like I said, they could not rule it out, but they could not confirm it as well. They have spent many years ruling out many credible leads, and this is the only one that they feel that they could not rule out. They feel comfortable with releasing it now. Just before the release, the Clinton County, Missouri, or the Clinton, Missouri County LE received a phone call from a person talking about the contents of the letter. They did not leave a way to recontact, and they are hoping, and the family is praying, that that person calls back. They do not have to give a name. They just would like to have a live chat with that person, and I'm assuming gain more details about what they know. Yeah, so they've been sitting on this for 30 years. I am sure that they have good reason. About 9 years ago, they said that they had DNA, and that was the last public announcement that they gave about Angela. They said that they had possible DNA or evidence of the DNA nature, excuse me. But like I said, that was 9 years ago. There has not been any talk about it. They haven't mentioned it. It wasn't in the update that they gave. So I'm assuming that there wasn't enough, or it just was not, for whatever reason, something to be looked upon any further. So they released the letter. I think it's also important to state that Angela stated to her fiance that in the back of the truck was and now this isn't the actual, this is just a description, of a fish jumping out of water. And now this was a huge decal. And her fiance was able to corroborate it when he went to the LE. Like I said, his car broke down. He flagged somebody down for help, and he went straight to the LE. Like, the family is 100% behind him. You know, I think maybe for a while they focused maybe too much on it and didn't. I don't know. But like I said, the family is very supportive of him, and they do not. I think it is important to note that, yes, the fish out of the water, the color was two-toned green with a white top. And what's even crazier to mention, was the description that she gave to her fiance on the phone was, it was a dirty, bearded man in overalls. He was an older man. But the description that they released to the public was a man that was clean shaven. Um, so I'm not sure. There were also two witnesses that stated there was a man lurking around earlier, around, like right around the phone booth area, and I will show you guys that area. You know, mind you, it's been 30 years. A lot has changed. 3 years ago, when Trace Evidence did his, it was um, a car lot, a used car lot. Right now, in this one, it appears that it is um, just a vacant lot. So I'm going to pull that up here. So, but my point is, her fiance was 7 blocks away. I'm not quite sure of the direction. I haven't been able to locate those details, but within 7 blocks each direction, that's how close he was to the phone booth. And like I said, he has been torn up. Him and Angela, he had plans to go to the Marines, I believe it was, or he was joining, and I do believe that he still was able to eventually do that, but he was really torn up about it. Um, you know, that's definitely what the vibes I got from the family is. He just blamed himself. He was the one that was supposed to protect her. He tried everything that he could to get to her that night, and he just feels like he really let her down. So I do not know where he is currently, but I hope that he was able to have. From what I heard, you know, he did remarry, and he had kids and all that good stuff. So I am, but he's very still torn up about it to this day, from what I hear, also, and what I read. Um, so I can only imagine. Um, but so this would be, there we go, Jefferson, and where's it at? Sorry, in Clinton. Okay, so I'm assuming this right here would be the parking lot they were talking about, and somewhere right around here would be the where the phone booths would have been. I am just showing for people that are familiar with the area. I mean, it's been 30 years. I know that after this happened to Angela, it was just the town changed, you know. And you hear this a lot, you know, these towns were trusting, they were safe, and things like this happen, and that changes completely. You know, you lock your doors at night, you lock your windows, and so I am sure that it has lingered in the whispers on the streets. But for anybody that isn't familiar, you know, I like to give everybody a little view of the surrounding areas. Um, you know, you see you have a major 18 there, and then a lot of just empty over here. It's just a little town surrounded. But I just like to give people a visual. I'm from Ohio. The closest all I've ever been really is Tennessee and Kentucky, and North Carolina. So I like to see the area myself. So yeah, that's the area. Like I said, 30 years ago, it was there was a building here, but the parking lot itself was there, and that's where the phone booths were, right here on the corner. And she said the guy pulled in right next to her vehicle. Um, it's a very, from what I see, it's a very common road. I'm just hoping somebody, this is a very distinctive truck. This is a very distinctive person, dirty beard, overalls, fish out of water in the back decal. And I guess find myself wondering, did they run down this lead? Especially with the new letter. Like, I just, um, did they ever take the letter and the information like accountable? Did they ever search that out? Did they ever go figure out, run that lead at all? This is just information that I haven't been able to find. Um, did they check the phone booth that he supposedly got in beside her for fingerprints? Angela or her fiance never stated that he had any type of gloves on or anything like that. I mean, and I would hope that if they did, they would still have that. I haven't found any information that said they did. I haven't found any information that said they didn't. Um, yeah, I guess I'm really like questioning the actual mug shot, or not the mug shot, sorry, the description released, and her Angela's description given that night are two totally different things. I kind of want to know, why that one was released. Um, the I Yeah, those two are my biggest ones that I have. Like I said, Trace Evidence YouTube channel did a very extensive, detailed about 3 years ago. The updated information is a new letter um, that they received back in April 4th, 1991, the same day that Angela Hammond disappeared. Now they hold a post and a conference saying that it could have been a case of mistaking identity. This was updated just back in April. The previous update had been 9 years ago, where they thought they had some DNA, and that didn't pan out. Boyfriend's been long ruled out. Um, so I encourage everybody to just focus on this new piece of information that has been released, and send it out. Like I said, join the group. Angela does not have a group. If somebody sees this and wants to make her a group, I strongly urge you to focus on the new information that was just released in April. Um, yeah, so, it has been 30 years. Um, the family has not lost hope. The police department has not lost hope. So, and I haven't seen too many people posting the new updated information, so I figured that I would update that information for everybody. I hope you share um, and help bring Angela home. Um, it's been 30 years. Her parents would really like to know, you know, whose truck that was. Was it a mistake? Did that lead ever pan out? So they're just really looking for new information based off of the updated um, information that they released on back in April of 2021. So I thank you for listening. Go back and watch. Like I said, there are a lot of documentaries on Angela. Go get familiar, but I really stress to please push this new information that both the family and the LE has not released. She does not have a group. So if somebody sees this and would love to make a group, please use this information and start there. This is Ash with TC Spotlight Talks. Until next time, please stay safe and have a good night.